Hello guys, welcome to Two Men One Beard. I'm your host today, JB, and my co-host
Munu.
And we are at episode 9 now.
9.
Yeah, we're doing episode 8 and episode 9 are being recorded back to back.
Yep, so it's the same stuff.
Same setting, yeah. Nothing has passed between those two episodes for us, at least.
Well, we had some noodles, but
yeah, for you guys, it'll be a week difference. But yeah, should we first talk about? I'll talk about my story recently at the gym.
Yeah.
So the most bizarre thing has happened to the gym to me recently. So I haven't been going for a while now. Probably like not a while, but for a week, because I am having pain with my forearms when I'm bicep curling.
Yeah.
So I'm taking a rest and see where that goes. If it gets even worse, I'll just do whatever. Anyway, that's not the story. So I split my workout to 3 days. So push, pull, leg.
Yeah.
So in my push day, I work out my shoulders, so that's one of my things I do, and I also work out my delts, so that's just above your bicep. And there's this very difficult workout that I do, which if any of you gym goers might know, it's called a lateral raise, and it's very common for being very difficult. So you do a really light weight for you to do it.
I think I've done that before.
Yeah, it's the one.
Yeah.
So I was doing lateral raises. Actually, let's backtrack a little bit. So I saw that there was this lady, and she had she wasn't attractive, by the way. There was this lady, and she was listening to me. She had her headphones on, but she was like doing this weird dance. I was like, well, why is she dancing? Like, she was literally at the and I was like, okay, cool. After a few minutes, probably like after 10 minutes, I go to my lateral raises, because I do that right at the start because it's one of the more difficult workouts. Well, the ones I struggle with.
Yeah.
So I do that.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm doing my lateral raises, and I'm going to the end of my last rep.
Yeah.
And I closed my eyes because it was so fucking difficult. Or it was either that, or I was just zoning out and actually just looking at the weight.
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, the same lady that was dancing in front of me. I was like, what the fuck? And then I look away. So I do lateral raises on the pulleys.
Yeah.
So I can only do one per delt, basically. I work out. So I look away, do it, and then that's it, fine, whatever. So I was like, whatever, she's just dancing. And the funniest thing is that the next sets I do, I'm struggling out here. So my face was not pleasant. Like, if you look at my face, I'm like crunched up, trying to lift. And it wasn't even that heavy. It was just like 7 kg. It wasn't heavy. And this lady just kept on looking at me and dancing. I was like, what is this? The most bizarre thing that's ever happened to me in the gym. And
well, you never asked her what was going on.
I don't know. I was like, what the fuck? I thought she was just, because I just assumed that she was just dancing because she was dancing anyway. Like, before even I was there, but when I walked in, when I saw her, she was dancing anyway. I just found it weird that people are dancing. I don't know. I can
get people dancing in. I know the gym that you go to. Was it in that gym? Yeah. So I know there's like a space where it's open space. Essentially, so I can understand that it's not common to see people dancing.
But listen, the way she was dancing, it's like club dancing.
Oh, maybe she's just trying to gear up for a Saturday night. You know?
To be honest, it was a Friday.
Yeah, so she's ready for that Saturday night.
Friday, but I was like, how? Like, you should be putting all this. Admittedly, it's probably just like a fucking cardio workout at that point.
Yeah. Do whatever gets you moving.
Yeah, exactly. But it was just so bizarre. I've never had. Well. We've had some more stories at the gym.
So yeah, I know which one you're alluding to as well. So pre-COVID, me and JB used to go to the same gym. So we do often go to the same gym, but using gym passes and stuff. But we actually used to both go to this one in our city centre. And one day after a long workout, all right, so me and JB are heading back into changing rooms.
Yep.
And the way this changing room is laid out, so you go through a door and you go around this like little corridor. It's not a long corridor, it's a little one. And then you come around the corner into the change room, obviously to stop people from seeing what's going on inside.
Before you get to that point, so I was behind Munu when he walked in. So as soon as after the corridor, it goes to the left. So there's a junction.
Yeah.
If you go to the right, no, is there something to the right? Is there a toilet? Yeah, there's toilets to your right, to the door, and to your left is the entry to the actual where people get changed. So Munu was ahead of me, but what happened? He stops right at the junction, looks at me, and looks very pissed off. Bear in mind, Munu is the type of person that doesn't really get pissed off unless it's hot, which it wasn't that day. And I'll let you carry on.
So it wasn't like, maybe my face gave away a bit more than it actually was. So it wasn't more me being pissed off. It was a little bit annoyance, like what the hell is this? So essentially, what I saw. All right, so it wasn't what I saw first. So I smelt pure doo-doo, right? Pure doo-doo. Like, I was like, okay, someone has had a massive one, right? And I was like, this is like, so you obviously said the toilet's on the right-hand side, was it? So I remember the toilet's not being that close. So as in like, so you wouldn't really necessarily smell something unless like it was a colossus poo. Like, so I was like, whoa, okay. So that's what I had. That's just before I went around the corner. I went around the corner, I looked straight ahead, I could see the moon cracking, bro. There was an arse hanging out in front of me. Like, obviously this is a changing room. People get, but this was
come in and come out and go out.
Yeah, but this was like, but there's people getting changed. There's people obviously more body confident than I am. Like, they're walking around, you know, like with their muscles out and, you know, all sorts of things hanging out. But this was like, as you come around the corner, is an arse. Like, I literally, if I didn't stop, my face probably would have fell into that arse. Like, it would have been like that. Like, it was so close to coming in, and it smelled so bad. I'm not 100% sure that this guy had crapped himself or if he did a massive poo, but he wasn't wearing any underwear. He looked very embarrassed, like when he made eye contact with me. And it was one of the worst things I ever smelled in my life. I just remember it like, I have done big poos in my life, alright? I can count, like, there's some days where I can write a whole Bible full of stuff like that. None of them have smelled like that. None of them have smelled the way that one smelled in the gym. Now, that's probably the reason why I left.
To be honest, did you ever come back?
We did, because there were other stories similar that happened afterwards, but
nothing as bad as that. I don't think that many things happened in that gym to me. I think that gym was very normal. Like, there wasn't really
that was just the one
rare occasion that you see that,
because we used to go late, not very late. Like, I remember that day not being very late because there's quite a few people there, but. Yeah, it's not what I wanted, because I probably hadn't eaten dinner yet either, and I probably it wouldn't have put me off my dinner. But
I just remember it smelling really bad. I just remember coming around the corner and I was like, I know why you're pissed off.
Yeah,
I just remember seeing.
Because I remember you being confused.
Yeah, because I just looked so confused. I've never seen your face. It was because what happened was, you were in that junction. You looked at it. You look at me and you look pissed off, and I was like, what did I do? I was like, did I like did I lose your stuff? Because we don't have a lock, so a lot of our stuff is literally just.
That one we didn't even put in a locker, did we?
Yeah.
We literally just left it on the bench.
Yeah.
Very brave of us. That was. I think that was my worst day at the gym. Like, no bad workout has ever topped that changing room situation. Like, I've had bad workouts where I've been like tired, where I can't lift. Like, there was that time we went and we did a bench press and I couldn't. You had to save my life. Like, I couldn't lift it back up.
Oh, the bench press, the one in
the other gym.
Yeah.
And even that, like, I don't know. That's probably the only time you've ever had to do that for me. Like, anyone has ever had to help me with any weights. And that wasn't as bad as walking into that.
There was, I recently actually had like this was probably the last time I went to the gym, which was probably on Friday last week. Friday, or I can't remember. So I was doing a chest press, but my lovely Smith machine was taken, so I was using a normal one. And I am stupid, and I forgot that the bar, like the barbell bar, weighs something in the free one, in the free weights one. So yeah, I was lifting the exact same. So I could do it, but I was trying to do, so normally in the Smith machine I would be doing like 5 reps. I tried to do a 5th rep. Oh my, I just almost died. And I just about had enough power to put it on the lowest possible setting. And the worst thing about it is I was on an incline, so it's even worse because I'm gonna die. But yeah, I survived it. It was fine. It was fine. But yeah, that's
a world of gym, isn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately I haven't been enjoying it as I usually do. I haven't been.
Yeah, but we'll try and get that arm situation sorted out, because it's good to go. Like, obviously I can't really say much because I neglected it for many years.
Yeah.
But I to be fair, I went a couple times this week, and I enjoyed it. Like, I actually pushed myself.
Yeah, that's good.
Like, I did the leg press, and I actually
felt like it.
Yeah, like, to be fair, I don't think it's a good thing, but I felt a little bit dizzy after my last set, trying to do it. But it wasn't like dizzy as in, I'm gonna fall over. It was just like, damn, that was tough.
So much energy. Yeah. Is when it's a good thing though to know that, because you're pushing yourself. You're going to your limits, and I think that's the main thing that you want to do when you go to the gym.
What I have noticed though, I never got COVID, so I can't blame it on COVID. But pre-COVID, when we used to go to the other gym together, I was doing more weight, like, especially on my legs. You said how high I can go on my legs.
Yep.
I can reach
growing
that.
Up. It's called growing up, growing old.
Yeah, I think it's because obviously I used COVID as an excuse. Like, I never got COVID, but I used not trying to catch COVID as an excuse not to go gym for a while. I think that.
Yeah, you just got a debuff.
Yeah.
It's called old age.
Yeah. But yeah, that's our gym experience. We've spoken about gym before, but yeah, this is more of the weird and wonderful side.
More the stories that come from there. So, should we start with with a movie review from yours truly?
Yeah. So what we discussed, right, before we go into this, what we discussed, because obviously I rambled on so much last week about the Greek mythology, I was like, you know what? Let JB have his day.
I'm going to talk about a movie as well.
Yeah.
But it's Kasim's favourite type of movie, an animated movie.
Yeah.
So, I think you've watched it. So, a while back, I really enjoyed, there was this anime made by a really popular mangaka, I believe. No, it's not mangaka. He's just a director, probably.
Mangaka. Is that just someone that creates manga?
Yeah, but it's not mangaka. Sorry, that's my bad. And his name is Makoto Shinkai, and he's very popular for having very good drawings in his anime. And there's an anime that was called Your Name.
Okay, yeah, I never got around to watching it.
You never got around to watching it? I thought you watched it.
No.
Okay. No. So, I'm not sure if you're open with spoilers with the movie, or
it's been years, bro. It's been years.
So the basically the plot of the story pretty much revolves around a male and a female, and it's similar to Freaky Friday, where they switch bodies, but it's not as, so that's the main, I guess, plot. But however, what I really liked about this movie is that they had a different twist on it.
Yeah.
So you haven't watched it, so I'll just spoiler warning. So what actually happens? So at first, one of the main girl, I can't remember her name, unfortunately. She wished that she was a boy. Right? She wishes that she was a boy because she wished she was a boy in a in a city because she was literally the opposite. So she was a girl, she lived in the countryside, there wasn't a lot of stuff to do. So she wanted to live in a city.
Okay.
And she wakes up one day as a boy. And she didn't realize that she was a boy. But later down the line, she realizes that she is being swapped. Her body's being swapped with a boy, basically. And the boy is going to her body.
Bit like Freaky Friday.
Yeah, a bit like Freaky Friday. But for them to remember what's happening, they decide to write stuff for each other. So on their hand, they'll write their names, they'll write what they've been doing, so that because people thought they acted weird. So obviously, being a girl, she was into knitting and stuff.
Yeah.
And all of the guy's friends, when she was a guy, thought, oh, that's a bit weird, what are you doing there? And then like she was really excited to go to a cafe that the guy was always going to. Actually, the guy's name was like Taki or something, Taco, whatever. Anyway, but the guy. So there's one point where so there's a festival that happens in the girls' town, and it's like a meteor festival.
Yeah.
And on that day, they backtrack actually. There's a scene at the start where it shows a girl in a train. Sorry, a guy in a train and a girl looking for the guy.
Okay.
And asks her, "Do you remember me?" And the guy says, "I don't know. I don't think so." And he goes away. So that's literally the intro, right? We'll come back to it because that's a really cool scene. Okay. I reckon you would have enjoyed this if you actually watched it. So, and then after that, the guy realizes that after the like meteor festival, the guy realizes that he doesn't switch bodies anymore with the girl.
Okay.
Right, but then he kind of, I guess, tries to find her because I think he develops feelings. I think from at that point, yeah, because it is like the first, I guess, 40 minutes of the story.
Yeah.
But then when he looks for the city she lives in, she tries to visit it, but he couldn't find where it was because all he knows is he doesn't know where it is. He just knows what it looks like. Since I think he's like a designer or like a drawing person, so he draws it and tries to look around the locals in the wherever near the countryside where this city is.
Yeah.
When they're in like a random ryokan, which is like an inn, I believe, or like a random bus stop, he shows it to this person and the person says, "Oh, that area." And then he takes her there and he realized that place where the girl lived doesn't exist anymore. A meteor hit that place. So actually, what the big plot twist of that first part is that they're in two different timelines, which I found really cool because you didn't expect it. Because what you realize that there's certain scenes, like the girl doesn't have like a smartphone, she has like a flip phone. But then again, if you're in Japan, you don't realize that difference because in Japan, flip phones are still prominent. And you kind of realize like that because obviously with the countryside, you would expect it to be not that big.
Okay.
Like not that modern.
Yeah.
And it's quite good at the contrast. I really like that because I didn't expect that. I think that twist was very cool.
That does sound pretty good. Yeah.
So, so the girl is like, she's like a weird maiden thing where they do. It was really weird. So she is in the girls' countryside area, whatever. They hold a festival, and on the festival, the girls have to like offer their spit in this thing. It was weird. I don't know why they did that.
Yeah.
So, okay, now it's because I watched it a long time ago. I can't remember what happens here exactly, but I can summarize what happens. So because the guy didn't know what to do, he had, I guess, I'm not sure where he got this idea from, but he knew where the girls, where they sacrifice their whatever, their spits, right? It's like in a weird, like mountainous area.
Yeah.
Right? So the guy decides to go into this like mountainous area, go to like the shrine, grab the thing and drink it or something like that. I can't remember why exactly he did it. There was a reason why, like I don't know, maybe like he read somewhere that that's what it's supposed to do, or it does magical powers. But if I remember correctly, but when the sun sets, your powers disappear or something like that. So he goes on top of so imagine so the shrine is in a volcano, like a dormant volcano, I would assume. And then, you know, around like the rim of the volcano, because obviously it goes in like a volcano. It's like it peaks and then it goes in where the lava should come out. So he goes on top of like the rim, and then so at this point, I think, at this point he hears the girl's voice calling for him, right? So I assume the power of drinking the spit. Well, I don't know what, because the thing is though, with his movies, there's a lot of like fiction, even though it's a bit of. That's why I think I enjoy anime when it comes to fiction, because when it comes, I don't know, I can believe it more than it happening in real life. I don't know. To me, when I see things happen like that in real life, I don't know, it's just weird.
So when I drink your spit, I'm not going to get super.
Yeah. Anyway, so they go on the thing and hears her in the
crater.
In the crater, where on the rim of the crater, where it's called. And then they end up seeing each other. And then they started crying and then saying, oh, I want to see you, blah, 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 whatever, like love story, whatever. And then it gets to a point, before I forget your name, write it on my hand, right? So the guy writes something in the girl's hand, and the girl, as soon as she touches his hand, he disappears because the sun sets. Okay, so he doesn't know. And then, I forgot there's a plot point as well. So what the guy told her as well is for her to get everybody to evacuate the city before the meteor hits. Because now the guy knows that the meteor will hit the city. The girl has to plan a way for everybody to evacuate it. So she got all the... So after the crater scene, so she drops it, right? And she goes around to get her friends to go to a local radio and tell everybody that electricity isn't working, go run away somewhere. And she gets her other mates to, for some weird reason they have it, to bomb the fucking generators or some shit like that. So they bomb the generators, the city goes and like no electricity, and they tell people to go somewhere else to go to the school, because apparently that's the place that's not going to get hit or something. I can't remember exactly. So they get told off by the thingy, so the girl's dad is the principal or like the mayor of the city. She gets told off, whatever. But she starts running and she forgets the guy. It's like, why am I doing this for? She realizes, why am I doing this for? I can't remember his name. Right, so that's why it's called Your Name, because he can't remember the names. And then there's a point where she trips over, and then she realizes when she trips over, that there was something in her hand, because obviously he wrote his name. But on her hand, she reads it, and you know what it says? Take a guess.
Your name.
No, it says I love you. So the guy never wrote his name.
He's a simp.
Yeah.
He ruined it.
So the guy never knew his name, and then it got to a point where, so she saves everybody, and then, I forgot I was supposed. I just keep on forgetting. So, do you remember at the start I told you right at the start of the movie, there's a scene where the girl visits the guy, but because the guy hasn't gone, because the guy doesn't know the girl yet, because she lives in the past. He doesn't know who she is.
Yeah.
So that's like another reason why there's that scene at the start, because the guy's in the future. So if the girl tries to meet up with him in the past, he won't know. He won't know because it hasn't happened to him yet.
Yeah.
So that's why there's that scene at the start, which I thought was like, oh yeah, cool. And then so the girl doesn't remember, and it just says I love you in her hand, whatever. And then I thought that was cool. I was like, oh, cool, that's pretty sick, you know?
Nah, he's ruined it. He's a simp.
and then, so she goes, she saves the people in the city, so everybody stays alive.
Yeah.
Right? But they still don't know, they're still looking for someone that they forgot about, right? So she moves to Tokyo, and then so the guy lives in Tokyo basically, and then I don't know what the other city is. And they see each other on a train, but on different trains, because like a typical. And then the music starts playing, like the outro starts playing, and then what happens is that the guy goes down a bunch of stairs, and the girl goes up, and then the girl is very. You can see that it's her because the whole movie she's wearing like this red tie on her hair, and then you see her just come up, and then basically the ending is like he goes he asks her basically for her name, and then that's it. That's the end of the story. And I thought that was really cool. Like for an hour and 30-minute video, that could have been a 12 episode anime and done in like 1 hour and 30 minutes. It's sick. That's why I enjoyed it. I don't know why. And also, I think, it's like watching. You know when you watch a YouTube video. Yeah. 1.25 speed. I love it. I love watching videos at 1.25 speed. Just get to the point. But it was good. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I don't know why. That's why I've been. Ever since that point, I was a big fan of Makoto Shinkai, because I think before I would watch this thing called. So he had a movie before. It was called 5 centimeters per second, but it was just like it's just like a typical love story. It's just like someone likes someone, but he doesn't like her, so he goes for someone else. But that someone else is not. It's just weird. It's just like a love story. And then this one is a bit more. I don't know. A bit more plot twisty, very cool. I don't know what I liked about it. I think it's just very appealing.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I think you would have enjoyed it. And unfortunately, I spoiled you what the spoilers are, and that's really.
You know what I'm like. I probably wouldn't have watched it.
Yeah. But now it's okay. So let's get to the point. So one of my points are how good. So let's say you have this really sick series. From what I've heard, Game of Thrones.
Yep.
But the ending is shit. How much does the ending would you say the ending matters a lot, or the journey to the ending matters more?
So the journey matters more.
Okay.
But if the ending is crap, then it gets spoiled. Like the whole thing. Because like, for example, I've been watching How I Met Your Mother again.
Okay.
But
now you know the mum. So
so it wouldn't matter if I knew the mum, but the way that you know how it ended.
Isn't what's his name? Wait. What do you mean how it? Isn't it? I can't remember. Robin. She's the mum, right?
No. So essentially, right. I already guessed it because I watched a scene when it was basically on TV. I watched a scene. I was like, oh. Like I started putting dots together. So I said to one of my friends before who we used to watch it, I was like, oh, I think she's dead, I think the mum's dead. Because like there's been certain bits where Ted's like, oh, where's my wife? Basically random scenes. But then also I was also wondering, why is he telling his kids how they met the mum? Like I started connecting dots. And then obviously when it got to the end of the last season, it turns out, so basically the wife's called Tracy. They get married, they have kids, they're happy, It's basically the last few episodes are basically speed run. It literally is. It's like
they run out of it, yeah.
Yeah, so it's essentially speed run. Like how it goes all the way to the first episode, to the present day in the first episode, which is like 2030 or whatever it is. And he ends the story and is like, so kids, that's how I met your mother. And the kids are like, yo, Dad, we know you love Robin, go after Robin. And then he runs after Robin. I was like, that's not a good ending.
Wait, it's the mum not...
The mum dead. Sorry, the mum died.
The mum died.
Yeah, so I was right all along. The mum was dead. And so the kids are like, oh, that whole 9 seasons or whatever it was they did, that whole time you loved Robin. Go for her. And I was like, bruh. The whole time, I didn't say he would love Robin, because Barney married Robin, bro. So that whole time, he was trying to say that you were trying to get your kids to tell you that you go after Robin, but for me, it was trying to meet the mum.
Oh, yeah.
That was in it for like half a season or whatever. I was like, damn, bro. Like, come on. So that sort of spoiled. I'm watching it again. I really liked How I Met Your Mother. I put it above Friends because I I watched it more than Friends. Well, Friends is always on, but I relate to it more than Friends. I think some of the characters are better than the characters in Friends.
But I think that with those shows, I don't really consider them to be like great story. You watch it for the jokes.
Yeah,
you watch those shows for the jokes.
But that was like the difference with How I Met Your Mother, because there was you know that there's a beginning and an end.
Yeah,
like the end is going to be how he met their mother. Like, in all honesty, the show could have flopped, and after like the first season, they're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, this is your mum."
Yeah.
But obviously, they knew they were onto something. So yeah, they did a whole. I think it's 9 or 10 seasons, and it just spoiled it. Like, I'm watching it, I'm like, bro, they're building up this whole How I Met Your Mum thing, and then it's gonna be ruined within 2 episodes. It's like, bro, it was like I think even the actors were like, nah, it's not good enough.
Is the thing that I would argue is that ending is also really big. I think they're as equal as each other. So like the endings can also be like the journey should be good and should be the ending. But what a lot of things nowadays is flop on ending, and that's why to me having a good ending stands out a lot more than those that don't.
Yeah.
Because nowadays the journey can be sick, can be really good, but then the ending can be just
Game of Thrones
mediocre. Yeah. So that's why. So to compare that to something, there was this anime. It's a very popular anime. You probably don't know what it's called, but it's called Lelouch. Lelouch.
Oh, I watched that one.
Geass.
I watched it.
Lelouch of the Rebellion.
Yeah, I watched it.
You watch it?
Nah.
So it's pretty much just like Rebellion versus Imperial. I can't remember what they call
Star Wars.
Yeah, basically just Star Wars. But what happens is that the main character, he has the ability to do mind control, but he can only mind control, I think, a certain amount of times. So you can't mind control everybody. Like, you can't mind control someone again and again.
Yeah. So directly after.
Yeah. So he is the part of a rebellion, and I don't know what the bad guys are. But him and his best friend, they're so the main guy is called Lelouch. He was born as like the bad guys, but he's a part of the rebellion. Yeah?
Okay. Bit like,
so he's a how do I call it? He's like a royal member, so he's like very high up.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the son of a king or something. I don't know. I'm not sure at this point.
Okay.
Honest, because to me, the journey was very alright, but what really got to you is the ending. So the whole time, he's a good guy, right? But then near like the middle of the season, or like the end of maybe first season. So there's 2 seasons to this. He becomes a part of the enemy, bad guy, and then his main friend, Suzuki, his best friend, becomes a part of the rebellion. So they basically like just fight each other, trying to get rid of each. So obviously rebellion is trying to kill the bad guys, and the bad guys trying to kill the rebellion.
I'm just getting Star Wars vibes off it.
Yeah, but listen, the ending is the banger. So what happens in the ending? There's a there was a vigilante. So Lelouch, he had a different persona, where he would show himself as this character called Zero. So no one, because obviously he's a member of the royal family, whatever. He can't show himself as a royal member of the family and be fighting against the bad guys. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there's this thing called Zero. So he made this old persona, and it's like has a like motorcycle mask, helmet, whatever. And what he does in the during, I think maybe halfway through season 1, or maybe at the end of season 1, he becomes a part of the bad guys, right? And Suzuki's the main guy. Suzuki becomes basically the good guy.
Is he a spy?
Who?
Lelouch.
Lelouch, no. So he becomes the leader of the bad guys.
Yeah.
Right? Like after, I think maybe after season 1, I'm not sure. So they start fighting, whatever. It's just typical anime, just fight each other. Robots, here we go, having powers. And the main thing about this series that I think what I really like about it is the ending. So the ending, they are there's a parade for the bad guys to say they're winning or something like that. And so Lelouch is there on his throne, whatever.
Yeah.
And then randomly, a Zero comes out and kills him. right? And where you realize that Zero is actually Suzuki's best friend. And this has been Lelouch's plan all along. It's for him to get to the top of the bad guys hierarchy, whatever, and for him to sacrifice himself and die. So that it will... Because obviously, if, let's say, your leader gets killed, everybody's panicking. Everybody doesn't know what to do. It's to kind of restore peace in the whole world. Which is really sick, because I've never seen anything that... Because obviously it's like planned. And obviously during that time, also, I think this was like maybe mid-2000s, and a lot of movies or shows were like that. And I think that's what I really liked about it. How it was all planned all along when you don't really realise. And that's the big reveal at the end. Even though I can say there was what episode was it? There's one episode where Zero, I told you, he was wearing a mask, right? Gets stolen by a cat. And that was one whole episode. I was like, what the fuck is this shit? And obviously that sounds really crap. But then in the end, it pays off and you're like, oh, that's really cool. There's a lot of anime like that. And unfortunately, a lot of people just get bored of it because the ending, the journey there, it's just not that great.
Yeah, you know what it sort of reminds me of?
What?
So obviously it's giving me Star Wars vibes.
Yeah, right at the start, yeah, I get what you mean.
But it's also giving me Harry Potter vibes. So,
okay.
Right, deep dive into some Harry Potter lore now. So obviously the big boy for the good guys was Dumbledore, right?
Okay.
And he dies, yeah? Severus Snape turns up on the tower, kills him.
Yeah, right? my favourite character, yeah?
The Waste Man. But obviously, what we find out in the next book, in the next film, or next two films, because it did it in two parts, is that Snape and Dumbledore planned colluding. They planned it. So, I don't know if you know, because I don't know if they explain it properly in the films, but in the books, Dumbledore is dying. Anyway.
Yeah, Dumbledore was supposed to die, so yeah.
So he's dying from...
I thought it was his destined to die. No? Or was he going to die anyway?
No, so what happened was... So you know the Horcruxes?
Yeah.
So one of the Horcruxes was Marvolo Gaunt's ring. Marvolo Gaunt is Voldemort's granddad. So
remind me, the Horcruxes is the ones that can kill Voldemort, right? Or something like that.
So the Horcruxes are fragments of Voldemort's soul that he placed into items.
Okay.
So what he had to do was he had to kill, and somehow I'm not exactly clued up on the knowledge, but when you kill, a bit of your soul comes loose or something like that, and then you can encase it into an object, and this way you can't die. So you're essentially, until your Horcruxes are destroyed, you're immortal.
You're immortal. Okay.
So this is how when baby Harry defeated Voldemort was still a being, but he wasn't fully human until Wormtail did the potion and the spell. But yeah, so anyway, the ring with Marvolo Gaunt, who's Voldemort's granddad, because Tom Marvolo Riddle is Voldemort's real name. So what we find out is that Dumbledore put that ring on, right, when he found it, and it cursed him. So it created a curse. His hand went black, and he was basically dying. So it was decaying. His body was slowly decaying from his hand. So it's like, yeah, it's quite grim. So he knows he's dying. So he says to Snape, yo, I've been a bit of a prick. I haven't told Harry Potter everything. I don't think I will. So what I'm going to do this year is I'm going to train him. I'm going to show him how to find Voldemort's Horcruxes and his weaknesses and all of this sort of stuff. But you're the one that's going to have to tell him that he has to die. So obviously Snape's role in the next film was to tell Harry that he dies. He has to die. And he did that by his memories. So let me explain something. So when so Dumbledore told Snape, he's told him this very good piece of advice. He said, when Voldemort starts fearing for the life of his snake, you must tell Harry that he needs to die. Right?
Wait, who needs to die?
Harry needs to die. Yeah? So what happens is Snape was obviously called to Voldemort's side because Voldemort's pissed, right? He's got the most powerful wand, but he thinks it's not working properly for him. And he realizes, so his understanding of the Elder Wand is that you have to gain it by killing the previous owner, which necessarily isn't true, because all you have to do is defeat the previous owner.
Who is the previous owner?
So the previous owner was Dumbledore.
Okay.
So Dumbledore defeated Grindelwald, then Dumbledore had the Elder Wand. And so what Voldemort's mistake was, two things, was that he thinks it's done by killing, and he thinks that Snape was the one that is the owner of the wand. So he obviously says to Snape, come here. And Snape, sort of, obviously, he isn't dumb, he's a clever man. And
Best man, might add.
He realizes that Voldemort's going to try and kill him, because the snake, he sees a snake, it's in like a magic cage. So he's like, oh no, I want to go see Harry before you kill me. So he's like, oh my lord, please let me go find the boy. I'll find him and bring him to you. But obviously Harry's right outside the door. So Harry's listening to this whole thing. And so, so Snape, realizing that Voldemort isn't going to use the killing curse, he thinks he has obviously a little bit of hope when he sets a snake to kill Snape. So Voldemort thinks, oh yeah, I'm now the leader. Like, I'm now the owner of the most powerful wand. Snape starts crying. Harry puts his tears in a vial, and that's how Harry finds out about Snape being a good guy the whole time.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to remember the point I was making. So essentially what happens is Dumbledore, realizing he's dying and probably won't be able to tell Harry, so he says to Snape, you need to be the one that tells him. So Snape does it by memories.
Okay.
But obviously what Voldemort didn't realise, just to clarify that one point, so what Voldemort didn't realise was Draco Malfoy disarmed Dumbledore before Dumbledore died, meaning Draco Malfoy was the owner of the Elder Wand. Because he defeated Dumbledore.
Yeah.
And then Harry disarmed Draco Malfoy when they went into Malfoy Manor. I don't even remember it from the films.
No,
they go in there, then Dobby comes in and saves them.
I can't remember.
And then Dobby dies.
So technically, it's Harry that's
Harry is
the
owner of the Elder Wand. So by the time Snape's dead, two other people were actually the people that could have that had ownership of the Elder Wand. So basically Dumbledore's obviously a smart man. He puts on that ring. He starts killing him, tells Snape that he needs to tell Harry he's going to die. And then him and Snape come up with a plan that Snape, so basically they know, because Snape is trusted by Voldemort, they know that Malfoy has been tasked with the issue of trying to kill Dumbledore. So Snape's like, nah, he's a kid, leave him be, you're going to have to do it. So Snape's like, yo, we're boys, how can I do that to you? So Snape kills him. But obviously what we find out with the ring, the reason why Dumbledore put it on, so Dumbledore's a very troubled genius, right? You obviously hear about geniuses being quite troubled. So he was a very lonely man. He was a very troubled guy. His parents obviously had died. Yep. His father was in prison and died in prison for beating up Muggles because they attacked Dumbledore's sister when she was young.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So basically what happened was Ariana, Dumbledore's sister, obviously couldn't control her magic, and his kids saw it, and they were just tried to get her to repeat it, but she couldn't necessarily. I think they might have beaten her up or something. Okay. And then she became an Obscurial, so she became too frightened to use her magic, but it imploded within her. So then she became an Obscurial, which is have you watched Fantastic Beasts? The first one?
Yeah. So
you know Ezra Miller, the weird guy in real life.
Yeah.
He has that power, like random ability, like he's powerful. Everyone tries to catch him.
Yeah. He's there in
he's in all three of them.
Yeah, he's on all three of them.
Yeah. But he's a prick in real life.
He's an Obscura.
So yeah.
Okay.
He's an Obscura, and so is Ariana. But Ariana eventually kills her mum by accident after the outburst, and then either Dumbledore, Aberforth, or Grindelwald kill Ariana. And Dumbledore is very, very depressed by this. He's very upset. And so when he puts on the ring, what he realizes, the ring, you know, the resurrection stone that Harry uses to bring back his parents, Sirius and Lupin. He knows it's that, so he thinks by putting it on, he'll be able to talk to his family again. But obviously, it's a Horcrux. It's cursed, and by the time Harry gets it, it's already the Horcrux is gone because Dumbledore's dealt with it.
Okay.
But yeah, but anyway, back to that your anime reminded me of Dumbledore and Snape's pact
together, because it's like they're best friends, where they're close. And,
and one of them had to sacrifice themselves.
I think that's very cool. I don't know. Yeah. I think endings are always. I don't know. I really like good endings.
I want to ask you a quick question about endings. So obviously we spoke about Harry Potter. What do you think of Harry Potter's ending, where they go 19 years later?
Right, so you're talking about like when they get like.
So the end of Harry Potter.
Yeah, like when
like official end. So obviously there's a cursed child, but there's always debates whether it's official or not. So the official end, they turn up 19 years later at King's Cross. Harry's oldest son is already at Hogwarts. His middle son, his middle child, is about to join and is worried about he's going to join Slytherin. Harry was like, nah, man,
Gryffindor.
You're Albus Severus. It doesn't matter if you're Slytherin because Severus Snape, the waste man.
Oh, because that's a name, right?
Yeah.
Named after her, yeah. I forgot.
Like, why are you naming out Albus Severus? But it should be Albus Rubius, not Albus Severus. Rubius Hagrid all the way.
No. Your name is Severus Snape.
But dude, wait. So forget any allegiances, right?
No.
Say you were Harry Potter.
Yeah.
There's this big guy who got you out of your abusive family.
Here we go. Here's a sales pitch for Hagrid.
No, but think about it. Forget allegiances, right? Right, so there's a big guy who helps you get out of your abusive family and takes you to this magical world. Right, he's there for you every time. So basically what Hagrid did in the first year was send Harry a letter to come join him for dinner. Yeah. Or they call it tea. Obviously we have had that conversation, tea. And he's really nice to Harry every year. So every time Harry's up to something, Hagrid's there to basically be a bit of comfort. Like when Harry was chosen as a Triwizard Champion, or all sorts. Like Hagrid was the one that gave Harry the picture book of all of his parents' pictures. Right, and compare this to Snape, who bullied the crap out of Harry for 6 years. But then you find out he's a good guy. Right, like he's a spy all the time. But then there's this other guy that's been there the whole time. He's carrying your dead body, what he thinks is your dead, lifeless body, back to Hogwarts. Like, and then you name your son after the guy you knew was a hero for 5 minutes, whereas not after. To be fair, you don't have to name it after Hagrid, but I just think it's stupid that they named it after Severus, the slimy Snape.
Listen. There's a redemption arc, people want that redemption arc. You can't be just all good. Like to you, people are just like, oh, okay, cool.
No, but it's not just all good.
But a redemption arc, everybody wants a redemption. Everybody wants to see the bad guy turn good.
But no, I don't. Like, I get. Obviously, I don't hate on Snape's story.
Yeah.
Like, I like that redemption arc.
Yeah.
I just don't think people should give him the heroism, the badges, the medals that everyone gives him, because he's not a good person. Who cares if you sacrificed like your life for this, right?
Yep. When
there's other people doing the same thing, but because you were on the pretending to be on the side, you're getting a lot of name press. Whereas the amount of people that died, you know Ron's girlfriend in the sixth one that Hermione's very jealous of, Lavender Brown.
Can't remember.
So if Ron gets his first ever girlfriend, right?
Okay.
She dies because she comes to help the fight in the Hogwarts Battle of Hogwarts. This whole time, Snape isn't fighting.
Minor character.
No, but Snape in the Battle of
Snape was there from the start.
Lavender Brown, if you read the books, was there from the start.
Yeah, from the movies though. She was in the movie from the start because how significant was she?
To be fair, in the books,
but
she was a good character. Got annoying in book 6 because but yeah, I absolutely refused. So yeah, what do you think anyway? What do you think of 19 years later? Like, what did you think when you saw that?
It's not really, to me it's just an alright ending, because to me it's just you know, it's just a more of like a weird prologue.
Yeah.
It was just literally, it's just like a little Easter egg to see just because you know how sometimes when a book ends,
epilogue.
Is it epilogue?
I'm not sure.
Anyway,
Not sure.
that one that goes after log.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of because you know when you read a book or you finish a story, you're kind of interested. Oh, what happens in a few years? It's pretty much that. It's pretty much to me just like a fan, like just for the fans, pretty much to just have a little bit of like, what do you call it? Not control. Like a little bit of security in how it ends. I guess to be like, oh yeah, everybody's having a good time.
Yeah.
That's it. To me, that's not really. It's not. I mean.
Do you want to know my interpretation?
Okay, all right.
Okay, it's similar to yours, right? So obviously, it's for the fans that have like. Actually, I don't know if it was for the fans. So I think it might have just been J.K. Rowling being like, "Yo, okay, this is the end. Like, no matter what you lot say, this is the end, right? This is 19 years later. We're done." Because I think she had enough of it by that time.
Yeah. Yeah, because what did she say afterwards? Her rants on Twitter. Is it Twitter?
Yeah, we won't go into that. But yeah, so essentially,
definitely the end.
my interpretation was that Harry had such a crap life. All right, so it's such a crap life. Like if you think about, if you deep it for a second, right? Parents murdered before he was able to know who they were properly. Lived in an abusive family, lived in a cupboard up under stairs for 10 years.
That's like Batman, but the cupboard's just bigger.
But, yeah, so lives in a cupboard under stairs for 10 years, finally has some happiness, then finds out everything about his parents. Imagine an 11-year-old kid finding out everything. Imagine that there's this bald-headed prick that killed your parents.
Yeah.
And then he finally finds like a family member almost in Sirius Black, right? But Sirius Black hasn't gone on a run, so the whole of the next year, Sirius Black is on the run. Harry is then in a tournament where he meets a good guy called Cedric Diggory, played by our Pats, everyone's favourite Batman. And then he dies in front of Harry, whilst his bald-headed prick comes back. The guy who killed his parents comes back and is a living, walking person again.
Yeah, because he dies in the same movie, right?
Yeah.
Cedric Diggory.
Cedric Diggory dies when Voldemort
I think he's
comes
my
back.
favourite vampire.
And then yeah, so 5th year, that family member that he loved so much is taken away from him.
Who's that?
Sirius Black.
Okay.
He's killed.
He dies, yeah? He dies,
Yeah,
right?
he dies in front of Harry by Sirius Black's cousin,
the lady.
Bellatrix Lestrange.
Yeah, that's the one.
And then
That was
Harry's
on the last scene, right? The one when they're on a mound.
they're fighting in the Ministry of Magic, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Harry's mentor, the guy who he looked up to, is killed by his least favourite teacher. So obviously Dumbledore was killed by Severus Snape.
Mm-hmm.
And everything changes. He finds out about Voldemort's past and finds out that Voldemort has set Harry an impossible task. Almost impossible task of trying to get the Horcruxes. Right? And all this time, the whole world knows Harry Potter's name before he knew his name. And the whole world puts all the pressure of the world on Harry's shoulders once Dumbledore dies. Like who is the light after Dumbledore dies? It has to be Harry Potter. Alright?
Okay.
So he has all that pressure, and then his best mate runs out on him because his best mate gets annoyed that they're not doing the right thing, as in they're not going on a path that's finding out everything. So his whole life he's had like crap happen to him, and he's been like, yeah man, I'm alright, you know, I'm alright, I'm gonna carry on going. Alright? And then finally we get this 19 years later. He defeats the bald prick. Alright? Everyone else around him dies. He loses Lupin, he loses Tonks, he loses Fred Weasley. Like, he loses all these people, but then finally 19 years later he has a family. His best friends are still there, they have their family. And literally the last sentence in the whole Harry Potter book, like franchise, is all was well. That's literally the last sentence. I think that's perfect. I think it shows that Harry is now older. He's had a happy life. Probably has a bit of trauma, naturally, but he's got a good wife that he chased for a year or less than half a year, and his best friends are still there. I think it's a good ending.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you delve into it, there's more to it than just 19 years later he's sending his kids off to Hogwarts.
I see, but to me though, I think it's not. How do I say this? Isn't that just like a normal good ending?
So yeah, really... but obviously I've studied Harry Potter. I basically studied Harry Potter. So all Harry wanted was a quiet life. He didn't care about being famous. He just wanted to get out of the Dursleys, and then, like, obviously when imagine this, someone comes up to you and says, "Oh, you can go to Hogwarts. You're going to be magic," but as soon as you go into that world, everyone knows your name, and everyone, like, not even you knows why, like, all this stuff happened. Yeah. So
it's just someone being a hero and getting a good ending to me.
Yeah, and he deserved it.
Yeah, but
because obviously everyone was there's rumors. I don't know if you remember all these years ago that he was going to die, and he did, but he come back alive.
Jon Snow.
Jon Snow is the same really. That I think they didn't want a Harry Potter ending for Jon Snow. That was the issue. They didn't want that because Jon Snow deserved to be on the Iron Throne, but he technically didn't want it. All he ever wanted to be part of the Night's Watch. So yeah, sorry, I've taken over your bit.
No. I think that's all is well. It's a good.
Yeah, all
good
was
point.
well. Yeah.
Look, I mean that's a pretty good, I guess, ending. But to me, I just don't think it's that special compared to other stuff.
I think okay.
I feel like the ending is just.
What other stuff?
I feel like the journey to the ending is a lot better.
Obviously.
Than the ending.
Yeah. Like the way before the epilogue or prologue, whatever it is, 19 years later, but before that, so it ends with, I can't remember, but I think it's basically just like him, Ron and Hermione are just standing there or something. I can't remember. I think I might be getting mixed up with the film, but essentially it's just those three. And I think it's something like Harry was. I think it's something. Someone says about celebrating, but Harry J.K. Rowling writes that Harry was rather tired or something like that, and then it goes to 19 years later. What would you think if it ended like that? If this is Harry was tired, or
he's gonna die. He's about to die like Iron Man. By the way, it's epilogue is the one after.
Is it? Yeah.
Well, I don't know why I said prologue there.
Because prologue. I was thinking because obviously I've written somewhat of a book, and I put prologue at the beginning bit, so I was thinking, have I got it all wrong? But yeah, so you carry on. Is there anything else from the world of anime in Japan that you want to talk about?
No, I think that's it for me. I mean, I just think that endings are. I don't know. To me, I just find it really good. Like sometimes I would fucking watch really shit anime to get to the good ending.
Yeah,
there were moments I did that because there's this very very famous anime. It's called Clannad, and funnily enough, it's from a game, and the game is actually like a light novel where you date girls. Basically, it's so dumb. But the anime is completely different. But however, the first season is awful. But that's how you get introduced to the story and you get attached to characters. Yeah. And then in the end, hits you with a banger. So the way that this Clannad is split into two, I guess, seasons. So there's the first one. It's called Clannad. It's just Clannad, and it just goes through the life of this guy, and he has a group of friends. And it's just going through life just in general. So I would say that you watch it just cause, and then you get introduction to these characters. And near the end, he meets basically his girl. Yeah. So at the end of end of season 1, they end up together or something. And this next one is called Clannad: The After Story. And the thing is though, so the person that directed and made this game and this anime, his name's Maeda June, and he is very popular for having really weird fictional stuff in his show. So I'll get back to it. So during After Story, you'll see this robot, some random scenes where it's just this robot talking, and you won't really know what it is. It's like a toy robot. So After Story pretty much follows the life of the main guy, I can't remember his name, and this girl. The girl's called Nagisa, I think. And it just goes through a life after school. So after they graduate. So it's about family and about being a couple. So spoilers alert, this is the big plot of the story basically. This is where it's all leading up to. You watch like 30 episodes just to lead up to this. So you get a child, right? And the child, obviously they're really happy, and all of a sudden I think the Nagisa, like from my understanding, it's like a emergency pregnancy. So like I don't know, I can't remember what it is exactly, because this is not the part that's really memorable. What's memorable has happened at the end. So when she gave birth to this child, she was on life support, right? And she doesn't make it out alive, basically. So his whole life basically breaks down there, where him and it's pretty much his son pretty much lives. Obviously he's still, with Nagisa dying, he's very obviously not
distraught.
Very well. Very distraught. So I think that's like the last few episodes actually of the anime, and it's interesting how at this point this is when things start to get rough. Because considering a lot of it is like really happy, usually quite light-hearted, and then you realise that this is a drama, and there's a big story behind this. So, him and his son, one day, I think they're walking out in the snow, and his son is... So I think they went up for like a checkup, and his son is very vulnerable to getting ill, I think, if I remember correctly. And so they went for a walk somewhere, but then it starts snowing. And they couldn't make it home. Like I think it was like a really long way home, but the kid gets really cold and gets really ill, even though he knows. I'm not sure why he was walking with it. If you know your child's getting ill, and at that point he also dies. The kid also dies. So that's why the anime is really highly rated for that exact ending. But because of the way that the guy made the Jun, the way he has like this fictional shit. The toy that was actually in those scenes was actually the child. And for some reason, I don't know why, there's a weird thing about this anime, that it brings everybody back to life or something. I can't remember why. It's such a weird mechanic or like weird thing about the show. But because... Yeah, and then it becomes a good ending. So basically they all live together happily. But then obviously going to that journey to get there, and that ending where pretty much his whole family dies right in front of him, it's kind of just... I think that's why it's rated so highly, just because of that. Because I remember the first season, because obviously the way that anime rating websites work is that they rate it based on seasons. So first season is completely different. First season has horrible ratings. It's literally like not that great. But then obviously with the ending that strong, to me it's very... Like to me, I never thought an anime would make me sad. Because obviously to you, if you think of Up was sad, but not to this extent where... Obviously I think if you watch this anime when you have a family, I think it will hit a lot different. I think when it comes to that.
When I'm 100 years old, then
yeah. Because it's the same. There's also a show on Netflix. Actually, it's called Kotaro Lives Alone.
Yeah, I remember you saying about this.
And it's just about a kid living by himself, and you kind of understand what he is going through and why he's at that state, because you kind of realize that there's no one actually taking care of this guy.
Yeah. And
so the thing about that story is that he's helped the Kotaro kid. He's so he's willing, he's so selfless. So kind of like what you get from it is that the character is so selfless because he's helping out these. So one of the episodes, he has like an old past friend come up to him, and then he realized that he has one of his friends in that lives. So it's pretty much just revolves around one kid and a whole block of flats, and one of the I guess person that lives in the flat is his best friend, and he realized that his old best friend, the best friend in the flat is realizing that Kotaro is asking for a lot of money because he can't pay his rent, but he gets money anyway. But what he realizes is that he's giving it to his friend, and even though Kotaro knows that he's being scammed, he's still willing to give him money.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And you realize that, because I remember there's also a really, I don't know, maybe you'll find it sad. There's one scene there where he buys balloons and he draws people on them because he doesn't have a family. That's his family. Like he draws people. He draws his dad, daughter, dad and mum in a balloon, and he carries it. Because pretty much the whole plot of the story is just him there because I think his dad has a restraining order, so his dad's trying to find him, but has a restraining order against him because
so he's not allowed to know where he lives.
Yeah. So that's why he's alone. But I think his mum is not there anymore. I think his mum's like passed away or something.
Yeah.
He doesn't have other family members. That's pretty much what the whole story is. But it's kind of just, that show is pretty much just, it's more of like a life moral story rather than it's a good anime. It's not. I think it's alright, but the story behind it, the moral and what the characters are doing, because obviously that's what I like about stories, for them to teach you something. I'm not gonna go to a story and be like, oh, okay. I'm not gonna go to Fast and Furious, drive cars and kill everybody or save the world. And
but the moral of Fast and Furious is family. It's all family.
But who needs moral when you have family?
So yeah, that was quite interesting.
Yeah, very insightful episode, I think.
Not even just the whole anime, because obviously you know me, I'm not an anime person.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not a fan. It's not that I hate anime. It's just that I can't. But I think this is our currently longest episode.
Yeah.
We have been going currently on recording is 67 minutes.
Ooh, an hour.
So yeah. So I think that's probably a good place to wrap.
Yeah. We were talking about good endings. This might be a good ending for us.
But yeah, so let us know about your thoughts. Have you watched Your Name? Have you watched, what was the other one?
Code Geass.
What was that?
Code Geass, the one with Lelouch. That's Code Geass.
Code Geass and
Kotaro Lives Alone.
And Kaden, what's that one?
Oh, Clannad,
that's it.
Clannad. Yeah, I forgot I talked about that.
But yeah, so if you watch those, or if you've read, I don't know if they're mangas, or did you mention that one of them might have been a game or something?
Yeah, but it's like it's not a very good game because it's like a, you know, those dating games that you get, like you click on this, no, not exactly, it's like that basically.
Yeah, I get what you mean, a choice sort of.
Yeah, that's very popular back in the day, and so a lot of that Jun Maida's guys work is from games, and he just makes it to anime, and he makes the anime more not datey.
Yeah, makes sense. But yeah, if you've watched any of those, and of course Harry Potter, if you've watched that, and if you think Harry Potter can be turned into an anime, we'll see how it works.
You know what you need to watch? There's a Star Wars anime.
I think I've heard. There is. Yeah, I think I've heard of that. Same as there's a Batman one as well.
Yeah, there's a Batman.
But yeah, we'll see if Harry Potter ever gets turned into an anime. I'm not sure if it will, but cool. I can see it as an anime.
I'll make it. I'll draw it.
But yeah, as we always say, like, follow, subscribe.
Yeah.
We are everywhere we can try to be.
We're everywhere.
We obviously we do want to go to video, but we don't know if people want that just yet. So if you can just drop us a message on Insta, Twitter, or even our email address at 2men1beard@gmail.com, we will.
We'll see you 190 years later. Or was it 119?
19 years later.
19 years later.
How can it be 119?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot people don't live as long as you.
To be fair, Dumbledore was about 150 when he died.
Yeah, what does he have on his knee?
He has the map of
the underground.
Yeah, London Underground.
That's so funny.
But yeah, so thanks for listening.
Thank you very much.
That was JB's episode, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Not really. It was half Hagrid, half Hagrid sales pitch. That's what it was.
Let's see if you guys like Hagrid. Let's see. Hagrid or Snape. Right?
Comment Hagrid below or Snape.
But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and we hopefully will see you next week.